Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Another project, another day. Today I have to show you guys something that broke along all of the bumpy roads that I travel on. Now, a lot of you have asked me about this particular item and I absolutely love it, but it was my own fault that this happened. Let me explain and I'll kind of show you. Okay, inside the door we go. And right here, you'll notice my fridge. My fridge right here is on top of a shelf. This is what broke. Now, I picked up this shelf at Lowe's a while back, and it's been cruising around all good until I did something I've never done before that I probably shouldn't have done. I was driving and I slammed on my brakes, and whenever I did, I heard everything in the back end go boom. And because of that, something actually hit this shelf. Now, by something, I mean my water jug. I forgot to secure it, which is why I tell you guys it's always important to go through your routine. This is the one time I didn't, and look what happened. So the van's a mess right now. I've been in the middle of doing about 14,000 different projects, so just don't mind all this. But the water jug sits way back here, and it shot all the way from there to here with a thud. And when I say thud, I mean it sounded like a gunshot went off right behind my chair. It scared me, and I stopped and I pulled over, and whenever I did, I realized the error of my ways of not strapping down my water. But I also noticed something else. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this has actually broken the corner of the shelf. So what happened was, whenever it hit super hard, probably like right here, and it broke this piece in here. So now you can see the bare screw is exposed. Again, I really like this shelf, so I decided instead of going and finding something else, I was going to buy another one that is like this. Now, initially, whenever I showed you guys that I had added a shelf, I didn't show you how easy it was to put together. So today I'm going to show you that, and then also show you how I secure these items right here that go on the shelf so that they don't slip and slide. Because process matters, clearly. Look what happens whenever I don't follow my process. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear out this shelf, take the refrigerator and set it in the front seat, and open up this space right here so that I can go ahead and put in the new unit once I get it assembled. Now, since I moved those, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the floor and things like that. I always take any opportunity that I have where I'm moving things around to do a good deep clean. So that's what I'm gonna do also. This is a bit of a closer look to show you guys what I was talking about. This is where the screw burst through the top layer, and that was because it had a very stressful impact in this area right here. Okay, that's a little bit better. So now let's go get the shelf and start to assembling it. Now, this was pretty easy to do whenever I initially set up the shelf, so I know you guys can do this. And this is just a small shelf that I found that's usually for shoe storage. So let me show you what it looks like, and then also the tools that you would need if you were to purchase this same unit. I personally like the color white because it goes with my van. It just fits, it makes it look very nice and crisp. And the measurements on this are 11.63 by 11.63 by 24.13. So that's going to be the entire size of the shelf. Now, if you are wanting to use something like this, kind of like in the picture, you can use it by itself or you can stack these. So that's kind of another hidden bonus with this particular shelf. Now, the only tool that we actually need to put this together is a regular Phillips head screwdriver. So most people have one of these somewhere around the house, and if not, they're super inexpensive. Okay, so let's get started by opening this up. Maybe. I always struggle with boxes, guys. Okay. There we are. Okay, so the first thing included in the box is all of your different screws and the hardware that you're going to use to put it together. That's all pretty nice and easy. And then we have 2 of these little square pieces right here. That's going to be on the sides. And I left this one out so that we could kind of see this is where those will go. And then you'll see we also have 2 shelves that are also included in our package. Now, putting together this project is super simple. Again, we just need the 1 screwdriver. Everything is pre-drilled, so you know exactly where to put everything. And they also have written instructions, which not only have what you're supposed to do, but an illustration of what that looks like. And if you know me, you know, you already know, I'm gonna hang on to these instructions just in case I need them, but I'm really hoping that I don't because I've already done this before. But we're using an industrial magnet so they don't blow away. Because once again, it is a hot day here in Texas, but there is a good breeze that just whips through every so often. And the last time that happened, I totally lost a set of instructions for my awning. We're not doing that today, guys. We are not doing that today. So let me give you an update as to what I've already done. This is the back side. You can see this by the fact that it has the raw edge. So I was able to line up all of the different pieces to make sure that I had the back side, the raw edge side, on this side that we are physically on. Also, I made sure that the coated side, or the white side, is going to be facing upward so that this will be the top part of the shelf. Now, if we look at the other side over here, you'll notice that it also has the raw wood edge. So we did that right. Now, the other thing that I did was I went ahead and secured the bottom piece, which will be the side, and I did that by doing the same thing I'm doing up here. I placed the screws first. I just screwed them in by hand to make sure that they lined up, and then I looked to make sure that we were not having any poke outs or pop throughs. Now, with this kind of wood, you want to make sure that you do that, because if your screw isn't going in straight, that's going to create a bubble, which is ultimately going to do what happened over here whenever it had impact. And what I mean by that is this is a pressed wood. Pressed wood is a little bit different on how it reacts whenever it grips to things, and it has the higher ability to splinter out than a regular piece of wood does. So we want to make sure that we're dotting all of our I's, crossing all of our T's, and making sure we're doing it completely correctly. It's not that hard though, guys. They have these little drill holes on this piece of wood also, so you just kind of line it up and then screw it in. Okay, now that we have secured 4 screws on both sides, I'm going to go in and make sure that I tighten each one of them up as much as they need to tighten up. But at the same time, I'm going to listen to the wood. I know that sounds really silly, but what you do is as you're screwing it in, if you hear it make a little bit of a pressed sound or a sound, stop. Just stop. You're there. Last but not least, we're going to be putting these kind of pieces right here, these little plastic stoppers, into place. The big circle one actually goes into the screw heads, and this other one is going to go onto the top. If you were stacking shelves, you would not be using this smaller one that goes into the top. Okay, as you can see, those are all finished, and now it's time to put the shelf in the van. Okay, the shelf is installed and this is where it sits right here. It's a little crazy in here right now because, again, I've been doing some changes to the van, but I also want to show you guys how I secure my fridge to the top of this, and then also what I use and how I secure my items in these shelves. I think that this shelf was one of the most valuable things that I have put in my van when it comes to organizing and finding a place for some of my smaller items. And what I mean by that is, before, whenever I first started out with my no build, I was using packing cubes, which I absolutely love. However, I found that over time I was having to go through packing cube after packing cube because they all looked the same. And I would get confused as to what was in which one, and it would just be a process that would take way too long. So I wanted to have something for my everyday items that would be easier to grab and pull out, and then also that I could give a home to a few of the items that I have to constantly kind of be in flux with. And what I mean by that are these items. These are some of my everyday items, things that I have to access pretty regularly to clean my face and also to do my skincare and things like that. So I wanted to have access to this without having to dig through everything. So I found these little containers at Walmart. They're just wooden containers, and then I painted them so that they would match the interior of my van. Now, these were found in the crafting section and were pretty inexpensive. Now, in purchasing this shelf, the height of the shelves themselves were a bit of a challenge. I had to find something that would fit inside and also allow me to maximize the space. Now with these, I found I can comfortably fit 4 across, no problem, and that allows me to put a lot of my commonly used items inside. So I loved these so much, and I actually bought a couple of extras just in case I ever need to replace them. Now in using these, again, they just slide straight in, and then you can slide them over and you can fit 4 of these across. Now while we are at it, let's just go ahead and put a couple more of these in here so you can get the idea as to what this looks like. And again, I rotate different kinds of items in these that are everyday use items. Like this one right here is my toiletries and everything that I need for the morning time. And there we go. I have one more that fits here that actually has my makeup in it, and I keep it on this end so it's super easy to access, so I can just grab it and then move to my front seat and put on my makeup as per usual. Now, instead of using those on the bottom, I use something that's a bit more hardy and also has a lid on it. I use these little plastic tubs. I can put 3 of them across, and inside of these I store everything from my Wii Boost, which needs to be protected, to also my med kit and things like that that have a lot more moving parts that are maybe smaller. So this is a great way for me to maximize the space and have easy access to all of the things I use pretty much every day. So again, let's just slide this under here. And then one of the things I like about this space is it has a little bit of a gap still. And so I can put things like my hot water bottle under here with it. I have one of these tubs that is dedicated toward all things electronic and cords. So I put that under there as well. And then I can store my little slippers that I like to wear whenever I'm in the van right here. So all of these things have a space, and that makes it pretty snug. So whenever I'm driving, nothing slips out or falls, and I love that. So what do I do about my fridge whenever it's up here though? Does it move? The simple answer to this is no. It doesn't really move. In fact, with the setup the way that it is, because I started out from a no build and I worked my way through all the steps of things I might want or need or things that were important to me, I was able to prioritize that I did not want to have to add any kind of structures to hold my fridge in place, and I also did not want to have to do any extraordinary measures every single time I'd move the van, like take my fridge down and set it in the floor. So I decided I would just build it to fit exact measurements of not only the shelf that I'm using now, but also the fridge. So that's pretty cool, and it makes it really simple. But I do have a suggestion for anyone who might not feel as confident in their fridge setup. Shelf paper. I know it seems like a very simple solution, but a little shelf paper goes a long way. And if you line each one of your shelves, that gives you a little bit of an anti-slip barrier, so things will not come out unless you physically want them to do that. In fact, that's what I do underneath those little turquoise bins that I have. I cut a perfect piece, I set it in, and then I put them on top. Now, I also use gel pads to secure it. I would typically show you that, but I'm actually waiting for some gel pads to come in because I knew I was changing this setup and I'm out. But that's what I do. I guess I can throw this away now. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and move the fridge back into its spot. And this little part of the project is finished. As you can see, whenever I open up the fridge, it sticks out just a little bit. So what I like to do is now I come in and I pull the shelf out just a little bit and I push this back. Now, part of the issue I'm having is the fact that this is actually in the wrong place, so I need to move this. But I always like to pop the lid on this first because that's going to tell me how it's truly going to sit when it opens. So that's really super helpful. I'm going to take it down again, make sure all of my cords are in the proper place so that nothing is under it, and then push it back into place and make sure everything is secure. It seems as though I have something popping out behind it, which could be related to my curtain. Yeah, it looks like my seat needs to go up a little bit. It was moved out just a little. So let me do that and then this is done. Now, anyone who is not familiar with my channel probably wouldn't know this, but I placed a placemat on top of my refrigerator so that I could put my power station here whenever I'm at camp. This is also secured with gel pads, which you can see here, and I'll probably be replacing these as soon as I get some new ones in also, because these have been on here for quite some time. Now, the reason that I chose to use gel pads to adhere things like this or my shelf paper to things is because they're extremely durable and they work really super well. In fact, I have my smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector attached with those in my van, and then also I have my little decorative piece over here on the dash attached with one of those as well, and it holds up so amazingly. In fact, a quick look around my van and you'll find lots of uses and applications for gel pads because they're just really good and they're super inexpensive. So just every so often having to replace them, it isn't breaking the bank. So I choose to continue using them. And I trust them. I really trust them. This is my thermometer for the front end and it's been held on in this upright position by a gel pad for months now, without any kind of falling or a failure on its part. In fact, that's why I definitely suggest using it to secure your shelf paper, because it's there. Once it's there, unless you want it to move, it's not going to move. It does a pretty good job. And so I definitely recommend that. I'll be leaving a link for the gel pads in the description box below if you are interested in checking them out or even just kind of want to read through some of the reviews, because I want you guys to have access to that particular item because it's just really good. But yeah. Well guys, for now that's going to wrap up another project here on Dimples. We're not quite finished with all the things that I'm going to be doing before I hit the road to go out of state again, but I am going to be doing some local adventuring, which you'll be seeing here on the channel as I complete all of the projects to get me ready for this big summer extravaganza of adventures that I have planned for you. Now, I have some cool things, but remember, if you ever see that I'm in a location and you are interested in seeing me go to another place within that same state, let me know. Or if you have any ideas just in general of places that you think I might like, make sure you leave a comment on this video or send me an email. My email address is provided in the description box below, and I would love to see where all you would like to see me go. I have an ongoing bucket list that spans every single state, so help me add to it. But if you've enjoyed coming along today for this adventure of putting together my new shelf, please leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and who knows what's next. Coming soon, some big fun things. Bye guys!